Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Telling Tales. Here we tell atmospheric stories together through the medium of tabletop role-playing games. It is Monday night, which means that we are playing the Masks of Nyarlathotep with 7th edition Call of Cthulhu. We'll talk more on that in a moment, but let's do some other stuff on the channel. This is Monday nights, Wednesday nights. Every other week at the moment, we have Simba Room, which means that it is on this week. And Thursday nights, every question mark 4 weeks at the moment. So the next one is on March the 6th. If you look at the links below the stream, you'll find links to our other streaming platforms, our social media, our Discord, which you can join and chat with the other people involved and who watch the channel, and also get the most up-to-date sort of schedule on when things are on as well. And also our Patreon is linked below. If you enjoy what we do and would like to support us there, you can. After this week, we're taking a break for a couple of weeks while other life things happen. Hopefully back on the 17th of March, but at the very worst, we'll be back on the 24th of March. But yes, let's get back to this evening. So the group are in New York, came to visit their good friend Jackson Elias, who had told them that he had discovered something about the Carlisle expedition, which was basically confirmed to have been all killed. He believed otherwise. And then on the group going to meet with him, happened across his murder as it happened, and are now beginning investigating that. So let's bring on Justin first, who plays Mr. Farwell. Hey, Justin. Previously, you had found out about some previous murders which looked similar, but the person who carried those out is still behind bars. So you went to try and visit him?
I did indeed. I got on a very long train with my wife, Mrs. Farwell, and we made our way to Sing Sing prison, which is sitting on, I guess, the estuary. And got there, talked to a very nice guard. Place wasn't open for business, so I put myself in the book to come back in 2 days' time, because tomorrow we have another appointment to do something different.
Would you like to confirm what that is, Justin?
We are going to see the funeral. We're going to the funeral. I knew it all along. We're going to the funeral of our dear beloved friend.
It is a sad day when you see a funeral. Yes, thank you. Let's bring on Sam, who plays Mrs. Farwell. Hey, Sam.
Look, a funeral. Look at that over there. Also, I'd just like to say, Jonny, I think you described us as having arrived at the murder as it was going on, or something like that, and that's just the most that's the alibi we give to the police when they talk to us.
It was literally like this when we got here.
Yeah.
It was in various states of this when we got here. Yes, how is Mrs. Farwell doing? What's she thinking about the current situation and your trip also to the prison, although you didn't get inside?
Yeah, well, not much of a place for me. I feel like, she's a bit maybe frustrated by this point, because I don't know whether she was hoping there was something more simple, and maybe things will become more obvious in time, but there's obviously he was wrapped up in something very suspicious, but the authorities clearly aren't going to be very effective at helping us in this case. And it's seeming more and more obvious that someone may have just been framed, or someone who was tangentially involved is just fitting the blame for it. And potentially whatever's going on is also not likely to be just tracked down here in New York. And basically realizing the scope and scale of this is a bit overwhelming right now. And she's definitely like, dog with a bone, though, while at the same time probably thinking maybe this isn't the best idea, but ignoring that thought.
Cool, thank you. Let's bring on Steve, who plays Edwin. Hey, Steve.
Evening.
How's Edwin? What's going on in Edwin's head? What did you do last time as well? For the...
So Edwin spent a bit of the time at the library, was trying to find out information about this cult whose symbol had turned up inexplicably on Jackson Elias's forehead at the time of his murder. Presumably there's some link. Yes, so tried to find out information on the cult. Didn't find anything immediately. But yes, we all rather interested to learn about these 8 previous murders with also the same symbol turning up. So that's kind of, yes, not sure whether this Hilton Adams could have been framed. Might be a cult member as well. We don't know yet. So we need to figure out that. And also kind of where we go with this whole thing, because we could do to sort of pin down our aims so that we don't just I don't know, wander into Harlem and get killed by a cult. I mean, as aims go, that's probably quite achievable, but not very satisfactory.
Thanks, Steve. Let's bring on John, who plays Merritt Barton. Hey, John.
Hey, Jonny.
You did similar things to Edwin last time, but slightly different in your research aims, I suppose?
Yes. I can't remember. I think I was looking up more geographic information because I was trying to find the location of a bar that we have the street name for and no further information, like country, for example. We also, when we went to speak to a journalist who had reported on the previous murders, Merritt was very quiet because he was too busy writing basically an in memoriam quote for the paper, and apparently it won the journalist over, so that was time well spent.
After Mrs. Farwell made the first pushed roll of the campaign and failed. So
yeah.
Saved the day.
It's a great mechanic, guys. Do it more. It's great.
I told you should have spent 30 luck or whatever it was.
You also looked up Warren Bassart. You were trying to find out information on.
Yes,
because that's a name that was at the bottom of a letter that seemed to kick off this Roger Carlyle's whole expedition. So.
Yes, it was someone who had written a letter to Carlyle talking about basically secret mysteries and information and curios and etc. etc. So I think, Merritt came to the conclusion that he may be a French national based off the name. So I have it in my notes to try and contact the French embassy in Cairo to see whether they can provide any further information. Because if we end up in Cairo, we might want to talk to this person.
Brill, thank you.
One other question, Sam, has Mrs. Farwell drawn the tarot card or is it one per day, one per session?
It's one per session, and I have not yet drawn the tarot card. Actually, I usually tend to do it around the start of the roleplay, so I'll do it now.
We are hoping that Jack will join us at some point, but we will fling him in when that happens. So the Farwells were returning from their excursion to the prison, and I would say that you would all reconvene about 7 p.m. by the time that you have got back, presumably at the hotel. So this is still Friday, the 16th of Jan. The funeral is at 2 p.m. tomorrow on the Saturday. So yeah, you reconvene and can share any information. And also, Mr. Farwell is expecting a call or telegram or something from the prison to confirm the date and time of the visit.
That's true. And after telling everyone that it was all a bit of a bust, I'm going to tell the hotel that I'm expecting a call for the fake name that I gave. What was the surname of the prisoner again? Like,
Were you a W
yes,
Adams or something?
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. It was
That was
W
right.
and then the surname of the prisoner. That's what
Yeah.
I did. I forgot what it is though because I'm a terrible role player. Don't rush to defend me all at once.
You're not a
No,
terrible role
just
player. You're a terrible narrator, which what makes you a fantastic role player because no one ever takes notes.
Where are my
Apart from
notes?
Steve.
Somewhere in this house will be my notes.
Yeah, so you reconvene at dinner time, I suppose.
Just trying to think of what I actually found out at the Hotel Chelsea. Not much. Oh no, he'd had yes, Jackson Elias had an arrangement with a manager there to be able to use the rear entrance of the hotel, and that he started using it more and more frequently, as opposed to the front entrance as his stay went on.
But not exclusively.
But not exclusively, no. And he was there from the 13th, so only a couple of days. So yes, I could go back and talk with the manager some more if we need. Perhaps he'll have more information as to whether anybody else has access to that entrance or what Jackson's state of mind was.
Well, that was my thinking, as indeed. I wonder if, given that those who killed him were in his hotel room, rather than just killing him on the street or something, whether they came in the back entrance or even the front entrance, as in they were legitimately entering the hotel on some level anyway, and then fled out the back, out of the escape, rather than entering that way as well. Perhaps he knew them. Anyway, unsurprisingly, Wilfred did not get into the prison. I suppose you're probably weren't expecting otherwise.
Well, they're usually supposed to have some form of security, I imagine. But it's always worth a try.
Well, if we hadn't gone, then we might not have been able to put our name on the list.
This is true.
So what's the plan for tomorrow with the funeral?
Well, we should keep our eyes open. Hang on, I'm getting feedback from somewhere, says Edwin. Yes, perhaps other people who knew Jackson might turn up. We might gather some contacts that way, maybe. Or indeed, perhaps we should keep an eye out for any people in that rather dubious headwear. I don't like to think that we are targets, but it would pay to be diligent at least.
To jog my memory, we weren't staying at the same hotel, were we? We were staying at a different hotel. Oh, okay.
We should I, for one, did not pack my funeral suit. So I would quite like to go out in the morning and find appropriate attire.
I don't think you'll be that much out of place, but if that's what you'd like to do.
Oh, absolutely correct. Of course, I hadn't really brought anything black with me. You make a very good point, Mr. Barton. I will join you on the town. Plus, it
Very
might be
good.
quite fun to shop for clothes in New York. I mean, under these circumstances, perhaps a little less so, but
I don't remember putting clothes shopping in the budget for this trip, but I think it might stretch on this occasion.
just glaring at you.
Is there anything else that you want to do this evening?
What time is the funeral tomorrow? Do we know?
2 p.m.
Oh, cool. Anything else?
No, I don't
Just trying to
think.
think of ways to do random checks. is,
Yeah.
is there anything that needs to be, any electrical items that need to be repaired?
Throw cards into a hat. Is that a...
Play my flute.
No, I'm going to send a telegram to the French embassy tomorrow. I guess maybe I'll spend the evening practicing my Arabic if we're going to be going to Egypt at some point. That's the language I'm learning at the moment.
I think maybe
okay.
I'll. Sorry. Was there going to be a roll from that? I was just going to say I think I will, just because I'm conscious that things pass from memory, try to do my best job of sketching out my mental image of those three people running away out the fire escape, and the red, wherever that was and how that was. I don't think that will change my view of anything, but if sketching it down and seeing it all in front of me gives me any further insight.
I suppose it would have been
Have it
obvious if they were wearing like hotel uniforms or
I think
anything
I
like that.
that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I'll do for a few hours that evening, probably. Not that I'm a great artist or anything.
You can both make rolls on those things if you want. See if you can get a.
Well, art crafts.
Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Well, I have 5 in that. First drawing, anyway. Nothing else. No. Who knows?
I got a
73. Ain't gonna happen.
I got a 66 over 15, so I also fail.
Okay. If that's everything, we can move to the morning. So the weather is overcast with those sort of dark snow clouds. It's not snowing currently, but you think it may later in the day. But as is ever the way, in the sort of hotel lobby and bar and restaurant where you may be having your breakfast, everything is moving along as it ever does. As much as you may all be feeling the weight of your friend's funeral today, everything else seems to be going on as usual around you. So Merritt wanted to get a suit.
I think probably after breakfast I would go to reception and ask, excuse me, where are the finer boutiques for purchasing clothing, smarter clothing perhaps you would recommend in the area?
Smart clothing. Robson's just down the road. It's a family-run business, real nice.
Thank you.
They do handmade, but they got stuff off the rack too.
I will nod and head to Mr. Button. Mr. Button, I think I know where we can head to. Just down the road, apparently, a place called Robson's.
I will follow your lead.
Presumably, the others are nearby as well. Would you?
Yeah, I would be. Yes. I'll join you on that trip as well. Yeah.
And you do look quite scruffy, Wilfred. You really should get something, at least a jacket, maybe. I don't know if Justin, you're going to rise to that, or.
I mean, I've got, I own clothes.
It's the most husband answer I've ever heard.
Wow. Nah. I think I'm good. Like, I mean,
I'm like wiping at a stain at your jacket. Like, come on.
He's dead. Like, he's not going to care.
Is there
No,
anything
you're
else
coming with me. I
Mr.
insist.
Fowl would like? Oh, okay.
No, I can roleplay out. That's in character.
I mean, I'll come along. But I'll buy something if I see something I like. But
I was going to say, well, I suppose it might be useful if one of us didn't look like they were attending the funeral, so they could, hover around the edges and keep an eye out.
Either way, I'll come along and see and watch what's going on.
Cool.
I'll at a moment find when Mr. Fowler doesn't know me, I'll be like, Mr. Price, never get the chance to get him in a smart outfit, please.
Wow.
Cool. Yeah, so you head down the road and you find this place. No problem. You sort of walking through the snow, and some of it maybe beginning to turn to slush at this point, especially in the like wheel tracks in the road. But yes, you get there, and there is a friendly man there by the name of Ted Hobbs. Hey, Jack. You're out now buying suits for Jackson Elias's funeral, which is at 2 p.m. today. So yeah, there is a friendly man there, and then another man comes out from the back who you could make the assumption is this other man's father from the description of it being a family business. And they kind of show you around and point out various things that may be of interest. And yeah, there is basically what you could each want there, I imagine. I don't know if anybody has any specific slightly off-kilter requests for rather than sort of black suit, white shirt,
Probably not for me.
I failed my luck roll, so I don't find anything I like.
I'm like going around the shop half the time, just going, "Oh, this would look unlike." Yeah, not going to go into too much detail on clothes. Sounds good.
I'm going for very boring black church-ish.
Yeah.
I'll definitely get something that looks a little like, just a little interesting, like some cool lace patterns on it or something.
Cool. Okay, so I suppose by the time it's open, you've been in, got fitted, etc. Let's call it 11 a.m. So you probably have a couple of hours before you would need to think about getting there. If there is anything else that you would like to do.
Well, I'll be checking the papers again, see if there's any more news on the murders or any progress in the case.
There's nothing about it.
Check the papers if our story from the other day has been printed yet. The New York Times, was it? Or was it the New York Times lady we went to talk to?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just probably by that to see if it's been run yet or if we're going to wait a few more days.
Yeah, okay. You both make me a library use roll to see if you can spot that in there. It's a big paper, you know.
That is a 66. That's not good enough.
My dice are being naughty. Gonna swap
Oh,
them already.
wanted our story.
Maybe it's just not in there yet.
I don't like rolling. I just want to know. Stupid dice.
Cool. Anything else before the funeral?
I will probably double check the wording with everyone else, but I am intending to send a telegram to the French embassy in Cairo, asking to be put in touch with a Mr. Oh, whatever the first
Warren?
name is.
Warren Bassart.
Yeah.
Warren. I almost said Walter, and I was like, that's not a very French name. Yeah, put in contact with him as I may be traveling to Cairo, etc., etc. And I've been told he may be. We may have common interests. I want to like slightly pique the interest without saying anything specific.
So you're not mentioning anything to do with Carlisle or Jackson or anything?
Not at this point.
Did you say you were checking with us?
Yes.
I think I would say you should mention something. I don't know what we should mention, but we're not going to get a response if we don't leave some evidence of this that maybe only he might understand. But I don't know what that is.
I was wanting to phrase it, perhaps you can help. I was wanting to phrase it in a way that doesn't name Carlisle, as that is private information, and doesn't name Jackson, as that may be antagonistic information, but more to allude to the man's interest in uncommon knowledge.
Perhaps we just mention Egypt. There's nothing suspicious about that, especially. But might be to him, or might link to it to him.
I mean, I am sending the telegram to Egypt.
Oh, never mind. Where was the... It was Kenya they went to, correct?
Yes,
Maybe
but through Egypt.
Maybe mention Kenya then. There are many countries in Africa. Kenya would be a suspicious coincidence, I would think, that would draw his attention to these events, perhaps.
Yes. I think then, even if it doesn't work, he may wish to get in contact to set us straight. Okay, yes. Then I will... I would say I wish to get in contact with Warren Bassart as I am planning a trip to Egypt and Kenya. And he may be a man to talk to of obscure knowledge. Let's put it like that.
Okay. Anything else? No. Cool. Okay. You make your way to the Cypress Hills Cemetery in Brooklyn, presumably for just before 2 p.m. It is a gentle snowstorm now, so not big I don't know, not that big. Not big chunks of snow, but like a reasonable amount of small flakes. And as you approach, you can see that there is a small turnout. So from a distance, you can see 3 people and the priest. As you get a little closer, you can see that standing at a respectful distance, there are a few more people. And as you get a little closer again, you can see that one of them is Rebecca Schosenberg. So you could be forgiven for assuming that these might be reporters giving space while the funeral takes place, but then perhaps wanting to speak to people afterwards.
What sort of venue is this? Is it quite a cheap venue, or is it a nicer funeral venue?
It's literally in a cemetery, so it's a stand around the grave kind of.
Okay. Yeah, so it's not really
like a city cemetery.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I suppose we could ask: is it a good plot? Do we have gargoyles? Do we have
What's
is
the
there an
headstone
ornate
like?
tool? Yeah, exactly.
I'm trying to get a feel for if someone has paid for this, or if it's kind of just been a funeral that had to happen, or if there's someone associated with him who's.
I mean, he wasn't poor. Like the guy traveled the
Yeah,
world.
He probably
researching a
spent his
topic
own
with no
estate,
commercial
I think.
value whatsoever.
Yeah.
He had to have some source of money.
Mhm.
It wasn't book sales.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's one of it's the kind of cemetery that you might have seen in American films with kind of the lines of gravestones. So yeah, just kind of your standard. Whether or not his plot is an expensive one or a cheaper one, you wouldn't necessarily know.
Well, we're getting towards the front, right? We're part of the proper people.
Yeah, assuming I would tentatively want to head towards those people and see if we knew them.
Yep. As you approach, you can see that one of them is Jonah Kensington.
Mhm.
You don't recognize the other 2.
From
But
Jonah.
I was going to say, assuming that you are approaching, Jonah hears the crunching of the snow as you approach, and sort of turns away from the graveside and says, glad that you all could make it. Oh, I should introduce you. This is Carlton Ramsey. He is the solicitor in charge of the estate. And this is his niece, Willa Sly, and she waves, and he goes around and kind of shakes people's hands. The priest kind of steps forward and kind of almost defers to Jonah and Carlton. You kind of get the impression that he's looking to see if they give the go ahead to begin, essentially. And Jonah kind of gives a nod. It's like a sort of relatively brief non-denominational kind of affair, but he does kind of, as he nears the end of what he's saying, says, I would now encourage anyone here who wishes to share a story of a time, a happy time, I would hope, with Jackson, then Please do go ahead. Jonah kind of says, well, we had a lot, but I will never forget the first time he came to me with a section of manuscript, claiming that it was going to be the next bestseller and I should get in on the ground floor. I'm not sure that that was correct, but well, his friendship was worth more to me, as I'm sure it was to you folks, than well, I won't say 1 million book sales, but maybe 1,000. And Carlton kind of chuckles under his breath. And Carlton's just kind of got like standing with his head down, like kind of, reasonably solemn. You don't get the impression that he's going to share anything.
I suppose I will just say, I remember our adventures in South America. From almost immediately upon meeting him, he was a very trusting and trustworthy man, and he took us to meet his friends and was very welcoming and open. And yes, it was a very kind, generous sort right from the moment we encountered him, I would say. And it supported us very well throughout our trips. And it's a shame we couldn't have spent more time with him since.
Jackson trusted us from the moment he met us, because he would rather have kept us safe than himself. He was a very good man.
Well, I think that's as good a point to leave it as any. This place will remain as a place that you can remember your friend Jackson whenever the need takes you. And I wish you all happier times. And he kind of goes to leave. And you can see...
Ceremony.
Sorry, yeah, go on, Sam.
Before the ceremony ends, because I know the reporters are going to jump on us at this point. Before they do, I want to have a glance at the group and see if it looks like anyone there isn't a reporter or stands out a little bit for the rest of them, and they might be hovering for a different purpose or about to disappear or something. Just because I figure if the reporters descend on us, they won't be left there. They might leave.
No, you don't see anybody that looks out of place there.
How many reporters are there? Ish.
6, 7.
Okay.
I mean, he's the latest victim of a serial killer spree thing. That's pretty.
And there's going to be more than 6 or 7 newspapers in New York, so.
And the criminal always returns to the scene of the crime or something.
Yeah, I was going to say that as he walks away, you can see that the reporters are not coming over to you, but you can see that they're almost at attention now, sort of waiting to... You think they're probably not going to come over to the graveside and will wait until either you go over to them or, they might try and catch you as you're leaving.
What a bunch of vultures. No offense, Ted.
No, none taken. I'd at least wait outside the gates of the cemetery before,
Carlton Ramsey says, if you would like, I can field their questions. If I head over as a willing
Sacrifice.
person who, well, all things considered, I wasn't keen on that language, but yes, perhaps. Then by the time they realize I know nothing, you can be well away from the situation. But first, I must extend my invitation to you to attend my offices for the reading of the will. I had planned for the afternoon of Monday, but if that is not acceptable, we can change that time.
Is that in a few days' time then?
2 days from now, yeah.
2 days from now. It would be great to see who benefits from Jackson's will.
I think we can all make that.
He gives you his card. He hands a couple of them out. And you see that the address is in Harlem, 124th Street. And says, well, Monday then. Please feel free to contact me if you need a change of time.
What I'd ask, if given that his address is in Harlem, is did Jackson change his will recently?
No, not hugely recently.
Yeah, it's just a bad place. It seems like an unlucky place to have an office. Harlem's a place that keeps coming up in reference to, well, maybe it's just a bad neighborhood. No offense.
None taken. Harlem is a reasonably large place, and, well, as with any large place, there are better and worse areas.
Looking at the reporters, Johnny, is the lady from the New York Times here, or is it all people we don't know?
Yes, sorry, yeah, you can, from here you can spot that she is here.
I don't know if that makes me want to go to them more or less anyway. It's just interesting to know. I'm tempted to take this.
I think
on its offer.
We did want to talk to her, didn't we? Because was she another person that we wanted to get more information out from under it, or
I don't think she'd offered anything else that I remember. Well, I would like to head back to the carriage without being bothered.
Sure. I told you no one would care about the suit.
Grumble, walking off.
Did we not say we'd see Schurzenberg, or was that more like a sort of general see you there kind of thing?
That's the impression I had, sort of. We will see you there rather than we need to engage with you there. But
yeah, I remember that, like, when we initially offended Schoenberg over something or other, but I think maybe it was you, John, that clawed it back, and then maybe we don't need any more information from her, or maybe we do. Maybe this will have. Maybe should have found some more information out in the passing time.
I think it would be like she's a useful contact to sort of keep in touch with. So I don't know if I could like meet her eye across the graveyard, and sort of
meet cute.
yeah, and sort of I don't know.
I think if we just sort of,
Nod
catch her eye and give her
towards it.
a wave as we're heading towards the carriage shows we've acknowledged her, but we're not.
Yeah, I was more
You know.
like trying to do in a way so that everyone else falls for Cotton, but she can maybe coming around and meet us if she wants to.
Make me a sleight of hand roll, please, John.
Yes.
If you fail, you
Good
wave too
old-
vigorously.
That
And
should be
everyone
one.
comes flocking over.
Actually, have good sleight of hand.
10% default sleight of hand roll.
I have so much sleight of hand.
Oh my god. So I rolled 13. I am happy to spend 3 luck to pass that.
Nice.
And you get a tip. That's it.
Yes,
Yeah.
I do. Excellent.
Cool.
Suddenly everybody's trying sleight of hand rolls.
Yeah, so she sort of gives a gentle nod, and you see her turn and say something to a couple of other people that are in that group, and kind of puts her hands in her pockets and just starts walking off around the edge of the cemetery. So yeah, you assume that she's heading to meet you.
Good. Sorry, Mr. Hobbs. I hope you don't mind us fraternizing with the opposition.
It's fine. It's like, they've got New York, I've got London.
I thought you were
And,
from
you know-
Nottingham.
Yeah, but I moved to London.
Oh, I see. I see.
Yeah.
Already done Nottingham. That was easy.
Really?
Now.
There's
Yeah.
no more stories in Nottingham. There's nothing there. It's boring.
Yes, yes, that is true.
It's fine. She can, cover the story in New York and a bit more on the, on the ground of it, I guess.
Carlton Ramsey goes around shaking hands again, and offers his condolences again, and then turns around and open-handed waves to the group of journalists, and similarly puts his hands in his pockets and stalks off through the snow towards them. And it is trailed by his niece as well.
Oh, so that was his niece and not Jackson's.
His niece, yes,
Right.
yeah. I think it was pretty established that he has no living family that anybody's aware of. And Jonah says, if you don't mind, I may use the same opening as you to escape this bombardment. And turns and walks away with you, assuming that you are heading back towards the carriage.
Yes.
And Rebecca is kind of waiting at the carriage, and says, "My condolences again for the loss of your friend."
Thank you. I will introduce Schosenberg and Kensington.
They shake hands.
Have you heard anything further since last we spoke?
Very little. She kind of gives Jonah a look, because obviously she hasn't met him before, at least as far as you're aware, and it didn't seem like she had, and says, "I'm sort of waiting to hear and decide for myself whether I think what I am hearing is accurate and truthful when it comes to the official reports."
I see.
You think it's likely that this will be a fairly speedy affair officially, given they already have a man in for it?
It's difficult to say considering my misgivings about what has gone on previously and the light that this may shine upon those willful inadequacies, perhaps I should say. As I think I made quite clear, my opinion is that Mr. Adams may be an innocent man for some whatever reason, being scapegoated by a particular member of the she looks at Jonah again. You don't write any of the books, do you, Mr. Kensington? And he kind of looks a bit confused and then shakes his head.
Mr. Kensington was a close friend of Mr. Elias. I'm sure he will want to get to the bottom of this and won't be inclined to speak to anyone we shouldn't about it. Don't worry. And I'll give Jonah a look, but I assume Jonah seems very on board with this.
Yeah. She says, have you been visited by any of the police, Mr. Kensington? And he says, yes, Lieutenant Poole, shortly after these folks left my offices. And she says, he seems a reasonably good man, and as frustrated as I am by his superior officer and the things that he may or may not have done regarding Hilton Adams and the previous murder cases. And he just kind of nods. So yes, it is difficult to say how quickly this may be able to go away, considering, as far as everyone was concerned, thanks to the good hard work of Captain Robson, it had already gone away.
I might look around one more time to double check that no one is obviously listening to us and just go, well, given one would assume Lieutenant Poole already had, assuming he was doing a good job, some evidence that there might have been more than just this Mr. Adams involved. And now that this murder has occurred, one would assume the good lieutenant might be a barrier to this being resolved quickly and quietly. So perhaps it is worth a conversation again. We have talked about it already.
It would be useful if we could gain some information on the earlier cases and whether, well, I don't know how tight-lipped they'd want to be, but whether this Hilton Adams, if they knew he belonged to any, to this cult that they mentioned.
If Adams did?
Yes.
I don't believe so.
Okay. Well, he's terribly unfortunate then if he's been positioned in such a way as to make an easy resolution for the old case. That's I suppose at least if they had only positioned an individual for the crime, then yes, they are going to be hard pressed to close this particular case immediately. But yes, talking to Lieutenant Poole could probably, as much as I would like to remain isolated, I'm sure we could gain more information that way, or at least pique Lieutenant Poole's interests in other potential solutions.
We just, I'm aware that this is perhaps a risky thing to say, but we just really need to talk to the good lieutenant without, or at least with an understanding that perhaps he doesn't report our involvement to his superior officers. That might be a very tricky way to start a conversation. I don't know if there's any way we can reassure him of that or gain some leverage beforehand. But the moment our involvement becomes reported, I am very worried indeed.
Yes, of course. Do we happen to know whether Captain Robson is involved at all in this in Jackson's case?
Oh, he will be now. Certainly.
That is unfortunate.
Once those on scene had reported back the specifics, it would have been straight to him, I'm afraid. I could probably get you an in with the lieutenant. If you wanted to speak with him off the record, I suppose.
That might be very helpful.
Have you been, I don't mean to pry, but have you been down any other lines of inquiry so far?
Wilfred?
Nothing's come to fruition yet, but I'm hoping to have a talk with Adams himself.
Huh. You put a request in at the gate?
That was yes.
Do you tell him who you were?
I gave him a name. Not
Is it
my
a name
name.
he knows?
It was Adams's name. I'm a relative. Don't you see the family resemblance?
Quite. I feel it is unlikely that you will get the response you are hoping for, I'm afraid. Nothing against your investigative chops. Just he's very particular about visitors, but again, I don't mean to overinflate my own worth, but if you did want to speak with him, I could probably help with that.
That would be good.
Did you have a day and time in mind?
I had planned to go again tomorrow.
Okay. Leave that with me. You gave her where you're staying, didn't you? I think. Yes.
Ms. Schosenberg, I don't want to say this and come across as ungrateful, but I understand that you are a professional. And I would like us to understand what you would expect from us in return for helping us. Apologies if that is too forward, but
No. Um, I know that my role in this life is to tell everybody honestly what is happening. And it is other people's roles to dispense justice. But I am a firm believer that if somebody else's role is not being fulfilled properly by those who are supposed to be doing it, then perhaps other people can nudge things along the way.
I can appreciate that.
I suppose in that case we are in your debt and very grateful for your help. I suppose it's. I assume you're already very much aware of this, but be careful. People have died over this sort of information, so yes, watch yourself.
Just a thought, actually. I wonder if it would be best for you to meet Mrs. Adams first.
I hadn't realized he was married.
Yes. Your choice, actually.
Where is she?
I imagine that you would meet in Harlem.
Well, that's not as far as that prison, so perhaps it's easier to go see her first. If she would be open to that.
I think speaking to Mrs. Adams may throw some light on what questions we would like to ask Mr. Adams.
It's likely to be less of a charged interaction, I would have thought. And yes, gaining more context would be very useful in future conversations, I'm sure.
And more understanding of the man himself before we walk in there cold.
Absolutely.
Okay. Let me see if I can arrange that for tomorrow. If I can, and don't get your hopes up, but if I can work the times and everybody's happy, I could see if you could see them both tomorrow.
Wonderful.
I'll do what I can. Well, if you need anything else, you know where I am. Sorry again.
Thank you.
And she heads off through the snow is still the same, quite a lot of light snow. So she turns and you see her head through the cemetery gates.
I don't know about the rest of you, but feels rather sad to end a ceremony such as that without at least drinking to the man, so should we go and have a drink?
Raising a toast seems appropriate. Yes.
I think this can be one of my few exceptions for Jackson.
Find a nice looking place.
Oh, wait, no, we're in America.
But it's okay because
yeah.
we've got the speakeasy we found literally the first day.
I think I would be going somewhere reputable for this, so I suppose we're not drinking then.
Okay.
I feel like Mrs. Farwell has entirely forgotten this point, actually, in this conversation.
Fair.
I
Probably
feel
looking
like
for
Merritt's
revenge.
outburst was almost canonical.
Yeah,
Just in the middle of this very solemn moment. Oh, wait!
yeah. There you go. Miss Farwell just goes, "Oh, yes, of course." And then I'll probably look at Wilfred for a sec, knowing where you two went, and then we'll go, "No, I suppose no alcohol."
I thought it was quite a nice place, to be honest.
I can.
Okay, so not the speakeasy.
No.
Dry bar. Okay.
Hmm.
Cool. Yeah, you go somewhere. I'm assuming that you want to go somewhere nice.
Can
So
we
you
go
find a nice
to
place.
Manhattan?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Get a carriage.
Any particular reason?
Sightseeing.
Justin is looking.
I've been thinking about like Carlisle was like a playboy, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
And what do you do in a dry city if you're a playboy? He's that newspaper article was saying that he used to go around night spots. Maybe he talked to some people. Maybe he was a big name. I wonder he made a big splash. I don't know.
Where would we start, though?
Where would
just
you
go around
start?
shouting about his name, can we?
Well, where does the carriage driver go? think we should go?
Are we going to tell him Carlisle, or are we just going to ask where to go in Manhattan?
Where's an enjoyable night spot in
I'm
Manhattan?
sure a hotel or something was mentioned in one of the papers. Let me see.
There's a mention of him holding an enormous party at the Waldorf Astoria Hotel upon reaching his majority. That's the message on the 5th of April.
Yeah, and it said something in there about Manhattan nights. I wonder if this hotel at least has coffee. And anyway, just an idea. Someone's got to know something about Carlisle. Maybe he talked to someone about his plans, or I don't know. I know it's not exactly the day to do it, but time marches on.
All right. Let's try and find a fancy-ish spot. No, a fancy spot in Manhattan.
Yeah. At least then we can do some sightseeing.
And some eavesdropping.
Does raise a question. If the Carlisle expedition is not dead, then why on earth haven't they reappeared?
Well, whatever they found, they haven't wanted to leave, or they haven't been able to leave. Certainly from Jackson's writing, that's how I would interpret it. The mountain.
But Jack Brady was still traveling the world.
But wasn't he also scared? I'm sure there's a note. He did not seem like he wanted to be found.
It's true.
Just
I remember that. I suppose if you were to interpret any similarity between our experiences in Peru and now, then perhaps they cannot return. If that makes any sense, Mr. Price.
I suppose so.
Which would also make a lot of sense given that man's fear of being found.
It must chafe, though, for someone of Mr. Carlyle's previous behaviour to not be seen in all of the fashionable spots. Very strange.
I mean, I did not get the impression that the conquistadors from Spain who first came across that temple were bothered by the fact they did not return to their homeland after what happened to them. It seems like they were altogether something else. Not saying exactly the same thing has happened, but if something like that is what has happened to them, then I suspect that their motivations are very different from what they used to be now.
I think if we can find someone like a bartender, probably a bartender or someone he used to spend time with, then we could ask them, did he ever talk about his plans? Did he ever talk about where he was going? Why he was going? These are the kinds of questions I might ask an NPC if I had the chance. Get some idea of what made this guy tick.
To Manhattan, then.
We go to that hotel because it's the only location we know.
That's true. Yeah, I think that's a good place to start. We can always ask.
See if we
they
can
haven't
have
done
a
places.
drink there.
Yeah, that's a good place to start.
I guess ask the carriage if they'll do. Ask the carriage driver if we could have a drink and a meal there. If that's just not a thing you can show up at the hotel and do.
What do you say, Johnny? Is it close to renovations?
Yes. No. You can go there and have a drink. Yep.
Cool.
Okay, there it is.
Sort of mocktails or hot drinks.
Before we do any investigating, I insist we raise a glass to Mr. Elias.
It's bad luck to raise a non-alcoholic drink.
It's never caused any problems for me, Mr. Farwell.
I'm just remembering you on that journey in Peru, just like throwing up at them.
It's never done any trouble to me.
Cool. Yeah, let's have a toast then.
It's a nice establishment, so your drinks are very nice. So, yeah, are you attempting to speak to the bartenders?
Yes.
About Roger Carlyle specifically?
Yes.
Like him as a person? And
yeah, or I know he's got a sister, so the Carlyle family generally. That would be fine line of inquiry. And I basically am like, if the bartender doesn't know them, whether there was somebody who knows them, and also like the places he'd like to drink. And if we're asked why we're looking into this, then I guess we would just be. I can't think of a good lie. So
You English tourists.
well, yeah, that's an option. Basically say that I don't know. We heard that he was on that expedition, and we wanted to find out more about it.
Well, we've been on an expedition, so you know it's a mutual interest
In expeditions
in expeditions. Yeah.
where things go wrong and people die.
We don't say that.
Okay, anybody who is attempting to gather information, if you can make me some kind of speaky roll, depending on the method by which you are attempting to gather this information.
I fail.
Yeah, I fail.
Oh, am I going to have to?
I am not attempting to. I have decided I am feeling actually a bit mournful.
It's a chance to study the Manhattan accent.
Yeah, I fail.
It was a good plan initially.
I have really good persuade, and I'm trying to roleplay, guys. Are you
I pass.
Okay.
29 under
Fantastic.
55. It's
And
okay, Sam.
So, firstly, what stat did you use, John? Skill.
Persuade.
And what are you specifically asking for or trying to get out of these underpaid and overworked hotel staff?
I think I am going to go. I'm going to try and persuade them to tell them any. I hear Americans have really crazy parties. To tell me about any like fancy socialites that they've hosted here. What about that Mr. Carlisle guy? I heard he was great.
Okay.
And kind of what kind of places did he go to, kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, the person that you were initially speaking to, it's like, oh, yeah, I've heard about that guy and the party here. Hey, Donnie. And this other guy kind of turns round. He's, squeaky clean in a glass. And he turns, and the person that you were speaking to says, this guy wants to know about Carlisle. Weren't you here the night of the party? And he goes, kind of walks over, and he's probably like 25, but he's like the grizzled one behind the bar, the one with the war stories. So he comes over and he's like, yeah, I was here then. Pretty wild night. And then, of course, it all went a little wrong for the guy, from what I hear in the papers.
Oh?
Yeah, the expedition. The guy went to Africa, I think. You know about this? I figure if you know the guy's name.
Oh, wasn't he looking for some sort of Egyptian tomb?
Yeah, that sounds about right. So yeah, now I think his sister runs the joint, from what I understand.
Is she also one for crazy parties?
I mean, she was there that night. I think she's always been a little more reserved than her brother. But yeah, it's not to say that she wouldn't cut loose from time to time, but well, she ain't been back since.
Do you have any idea where one could find her if one wanted to, say, run into a rich American heiress while on holiday?
Well, they got this estate, so I don't know if she's usually around in the city too much. But I mean, I think she still does like boring things that rich people do, like committees and such. So I think those things are usually in the paper. Perhaps maybe that's where you look.
Thank you. I'll keep an eye out in the papers.
You look like your juice could use a little top up.
Thank you.
Anything else for any of you folks?
I'll lean over to Wilfred.
Should you do a salad?
I really could go for a gin, Wilfred.
Oh, you mean our famous Waldorf salad?
I think I heard about it once.
No, we stopped doing those.
Is that about the time you stopped doing the gin as well?
I think the line goes, they're
Anyway.
fresh out of Waldorf's.
Enough tomfoolery. I got to get back to cleaning these glasses. And he turns around and heads over to the other side. It's one of those, like, the square bars where you can kind of
Sure.
sit around all the edges, and he heads over to the side.
Wow. Americans.
Well, our chances of accidentally running into Miss Carlyle seem slim. I suppose we need to keep an eye on the papers.
Or
Mm.
find where the
Hey.
estate is and deliberately find our way in, but might be a little bit forward to, unless we've got a good excuse.
I believe it's in West Haven, but from what I know, those estates don't tend to be the sort of estate you can accidentally wander onto.
Well, you mentioned committees and such. In my experience, all you need is a posh frock and a fast tongue to be able to get into those sorts of events. Maybe worth a try.
Then we should be sorted.
Wish I actually had more points of fast talk.
Edwin's
I
not
assume
going to be
that's
wearing
what-
a frock, so
I mean, I assume the fast talk is what the husband is for.
Oof. Yeah, 5% fast talk. Not going to happen.
Oh,
It
I'm
was like
charming. I'm not the fast talk.
choosing between charm, fast talk, sleight of hand. Oh.
Not enough people put stuff in boat. I'm just saying.
I think the textbook skill to dump points into is jump, isn't it? That's
Has anyone ever had a jump check happen in any game they played? Sorry, this is entirely different, really.
didn't we have the one in the first Call of Cthulhu?
Oh, we did.
Because Matt had put a whole
Matt,
bunch
yeah.
of points in jump.
About 80, I think.
Yeah.
Go
you're
back and
kidding.
watch
Anyway,
Old series.
good.
Cthulhu.
That's good. Okay, well, I guess head back to our hotel.
I think I will actively be nudging Wilfred to point me in the direction of that speakeasy at this point.
What?
I've fully changed my mind, having had juice to host to a man we know who recently died. I'm feeling thoroughly
Juiced
frustrated.
up.
Well, look, if we're going to try and find somewhere that serves alcohol, then we should just find one nearby. Then we might be able to get leads on Carlisle.
I mean, we've already made friends with this bartender. He probably potentially would know somewhere to get a stronger drink.
But would he tell us? What if I credit rated him to get us to
You
get
can
a
drag your higher
plot?
credit rating wife along with you.
Wow. You know what I love about this relationship? I never feel emasculated.
I love the
Because you're
image
so
of, like,
subtle about it.
you showing up and like you're gonna bribe a guy, you reach in your pocket, and there's just the jangling of coins, and I'll just be like,
I've got my credit rating's
And just
perfectly
notes.
fine. Anyway, no, could I though? Could we make a check to find a place to get gin?
Sure. So you're not going back to the same speakeasy?
No, I want to find a new one because I think if where's the rich guy going to spend his actual time in somewhere that serves alcohol? That's my logic. If I was rich, I wouldn't be here all the time.
The impression I have of the
So
20s, it was very normal for people to drink alcohol in Prohibition. So
are
it
you
wouldn't be
using
that
this to ask them, like, to try and wheedle out information on where you can get this?
Yeah, I figured if I gave a tip to the bartender, he could tell me where to
Yeah.
get a proper drink.
Okay. Gives a roll.
we're going to get arrested.
Where did I put that wallet? I fail. I have not got a sufficient bribe, apparently.
No, so I hang on. I am happy for you to like give the bribe, but roll on something else if that's preferable. Like that is your persuasion, for example.
Well, I mean, I made the roll, and none of my skills, unless it was drive auto or English, would have passed. So.
Well, you were presumably speaking English to him, so
Maybe that was
Does
the
that
problem.
count?
Maybe that's why it didn't work.
Speaking wrong.
You basically end up speaking to the original person that Merritt first spoke to, who you wonder if, even if there wasn't a prohibition, may not be old enough to drink. And thanks you for the tip, but I just basically acts oblivious to any sort of further.
Yeah, well, there we go. Kind of like slap the bar and stand up and go, well, that was good. That was a good drink. Let's go.
To the place
So-
you already know then?
I mean, we still got the carriage driver. It's just sort of waiting around for us all the time.
They have more than one carriage in the city. You can get a
I
second carriage.
thought Sam had basically like paid for one to go on retainer for us. Or was that just one day? He's like sat outside
I
the
think
hotel all night.
if we went to the middle of Manhattan, I think it was probably impractical to get them to wait outside the whole time. So they probably aren't waiting for us now.
I thought we were.
We can hell a new one.
I think Mrs. Farwell wanted to go to the speakeasy.
Yeah.
I love the idea that was in roleplay in character. Mr. Barton just going, Mr. Farwell, I think your wife really wants to go to a speakeasy. Adorable.
Oh, dear. I'm not. I mean, like, you know, I'm not driving this thing. I would if someone let me, but you know, I guess. Is anyone objecting to going to a speakeasy then, or was that where we're heading next?
I think Edwin will just be going back to the hotel.
Okay.
I think, why not? You only get to go to an illicit speakeasy when you're in New York, well, America. So, in the names of education, Merritt's going to go.
Probably only for like another 6 months as well, right?
Can't remember when Prohibition lifted.
Well, it didn't last very long. Well, there was like 2 periods of it. Anyway, not into history. But...
I think Corporal Shane is going back to the hotel with Edwin.
Cool.
Yeah, so you remember the way and the little knock that you need to get in, and you head in. Are you having the drink as recommended by the bartender again? Which I think is what they got quite.
I will 100% ask for gin.
Quite
I have no
inebriated
idea.
on. Okay,
I have no idea if they could do gin, but I will just immediately be asking for gin.
cool.
Ooh, can they do the simplest alcohol to brew in a bathtub?
Yes, is the answer.
How
I
good
like
is
the
the gin?
thought that maybe that's what we were just drinking last time as well.
Probably.
Yeah.
Just
Like,
yeah.
They only do one drink here, but it happens to be exactly what I'm asking for. How good is this gin, Charlie?
it's not got botanicals, mate. It's
It's
Yeah,
one of
like-
the best
exactly.
gins you could
Juniper
get
berries?
in America at this point in time when alcohol
It-
was not being officially made.
It doesn't make you
It's
blind.
okay. It's inoffensive. You've had significantly better, but it's like passable.
Okay. I will enjoy my gin, but nonetheless have a sour look on my face and say, rotten drink to accompany someone's funeral, really? Shouldn't have to hide underground to have this.
sure. I'll have a whiskey. Why the hell not?
Is everyone just having the one drink while they're here?
I will have, if I may, a sip of a drink to Jackson, and then have, if they have anything non-alcoholic, that
They've
Coca-Cola.
got water.
There's nothing wrong with Coca-Cola at this point in time. It's got absolutely nothing.
They just have a mixers when they're doing it.
Sounds like a wise idea. No, I'm not planning on getting steaming. I'm just, just here because my wife took me here.
I will have a few drinks at least.
Oh,
Okay, would you like to
I'm in
make
that
a
mood.
constitution roll, Sam, for Mrs. Farwell?
Yeah.
I think Ted's probably having a few. If someone else is having a few, Ted's going to have a few as well.
Oh, I just wildly fail.
this has really affected you, hasn't it?
Oh wow!
It
Best
has.
roll of the night. I pass.
Okay. Yeah, Mrs. Farwell starts to kind of slur her words a little.
Yeah, I think at that she's just going to be crying, just going to be quite emotional.
Reasonable. I can take it from here, guys. I've been here before. Do you want to stay or do you want to go?
One more drink.
Okay. I didn't say I had a healthy way of dealing with this. I said I've been here before. It was a different time, everyone. It was a different time. I don't say it loud because that would be insane. But that's what I'm saying as Farwell orders another drink for his wife. This is the
Cool.
last one. Then we go back.
I, while we're here, going to be seeing if anyone has anything to say about any of the Harlem murders. I'm going to try and still do it as this English tourist. Like, oh, I heard, does this stuff happen in New York often? What have you heard about that? Is that,
It's
is that
like the
weird?
Jack the Ripper
Kind of thing.
story or something. Like, kind
Yeah.
of like...
Okay. Yeah, you get a general vibe that it's it is weird. People think that it is strange and people are a bit uncomfortable about it. And until Jackson's murder, people were kind of not bothered, but it was sort of like not on their doorstep. So they weren't necessarily worried for their own safety if they were here.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas now they're sort of like, well, nobody's safe.
Because it's no longer in Harlem, you mean?
Yeah. You don't get any sort of, useful information about anything, but yeah, you get a general vibe that people are a bit weirded out by it.
Okay.
And I would say that I think it was just Ted and Mr. Farwell that were in here last time. And Corporal Shane maybe, but like Corporal Shane isn't here now. You two would note that there are more people in here drinking than last time. whether that's linked or not to people's unease, you're not sure, but yeah.
Does anyone want to do anything other than wait until Mrs. Farwell and Hobbs are ready to leave and stick him in a carriage home?
I'm in no position to make my decision now.
I think after I've had like a bit of a chat around, I will then get a carriage home, and I will ask around to see if anyone wants to go with me.
I think we should go back. Yeah.
Yeah, Hobbs will, or Ted will join as well. It's probably not wise to stay out on his own at
Emotional
night.
body.
Cool. So you head back to the hotel. You note there are what look like 2 letters or telegrams in Mr. Farwell's pigeonhole.
I will go collect those.
So the first one that you open is letterheaded paper from the penitentiary, which says just visit denied in the center.
Terrible. I say tearing the paper up.
And then the other is a handwritten note that looks like it's from a telephone call by the received by the receptionist, which says, call from Rebecca Schosenberg, meeting with wife 10 a.m. and then an address, and meeting with husband 3 p.m.
Brilliant.
And then also has a phone number for her on it, noted at the bottom, because I think you would have her, like, you know where her office is, but you don't necessarily have. She maybe has a home phone as a journalist, you know, reasonably high-ranking journalist. So that may be what that is.
Then I think I'll call that relatively soon.
Yep.
Maybe after taking Mrs. Farwell upstairs.
Yep.
And just confirm the details. Ask if there's anything we need to do or avoid doing, etc.
She says, no. Please investigate as you would. I hope that you manage to make some progress, perhaps.
Well, this
find
is much
something useful.
appreciated.
Well, and from my end.
Click. And I'm going to just also check in with everyone who didn't go out to check that they're not dead and tell them we're not dead. And then I'm going to go to bed.
Cool. The address, by the way, is the Lafayette Theatre in Harlem, which is at 132nd Street and 7th Avenue.
That's for Mrs. Adams.
If I ask the hotel reception about this address, like, I guess it's the theatre. Do they know anything about it?
I have not been there, but it's known as the Beautiful House. So I imagine it's very stunning visually. Are you planning to visit?
No. And I'm going to. I'll head back to my room.
You know, Justin, I think that's more suspicious than just following through with it.
I don't care. I mean, like, I like. I can't express my disdain for these Americans. Like, they don't understand our humor. They don't let me go to their prisons. They don't have alcohol. Like, I can't. I'm done. I'm just done.
Is there anything else that anybody else would like to do before bed? Nope. Cool. Well, I think that's a good point to leave it for the week. So yeah, thank you everybody for watching. Any questions or comments, put them in the chat, and we can put them on the screen and discuss. Links below the stream to our other streaming things, our social media, our Discord, where you can join and come and chat with us and other people involved and who watch things on the channel, and also our Patreon. Sorry, Max Writer. Yes, we are just ending for the evening. Seen in the chat. Sorry to miss you there. Curses. Everything is on our YouTube. I don't know if you watch frequently, but yeah, our YouTube is linked below and has everything that everyone has done ever. Other things on the channel. Simba Room is on this Wednesday, and the Yellow King is on the 2nd of March. No, the 6th of March. 6th. Yes, thanks, John. You just stumbled upon us. Yes, you can go back and catch up on. Well, you might never catch up now on everything that's been done on the channel. There is a lot. But yeah, hopefully, if you like creepy tabletop role-playing games, then there's plenty for you on there, and some is non-creepy as well. Cool. Simba Room, Yellow King. We are taking a 2-week break because of life things. Hopefully back on the 17th. If not, then at the very latest, it'll be the 24th of March. And links to everything below the stream. Call of Cthulhu is your go-to. Cool. Yeah, we have, what's this, the 15th? Yeah, 15th episode of this. I also ran, and a bunch of these folks were in the previous game scenarios that I wrote, so they're all on there as well.
Highly recommend
that is your
go check that out on our YouTube. It was really good. Really good.
So yeah, questions or comments, John? Let's go on the screen.
Scream. I don't know why Jack didn't say this out loud when we were at the funeral.
I was giggling to myself, like
I could see you giggling when that was on in the chat.
I was like,
Wow.
and then because I was trying not to laugh, it just made it a million times more funny. I was like,
it's
school or
factually
something.
correct. It's like this is not untrue as a statement. Awful.
Still, factually correct and actually correct are different things.
Just for anyone who's listening on audio, Jack has said, "I'll never forget the last time I saw Jackson laying there in bed, having recently been murdered."
I also liked Steve's suggestions for how to work Roger Carlyle into the conversation.
This place seems so much quieter since Roger Carlyle left for
good.
Egypt.
It's good.
And then the immediate follow-up.
In a way, we're just like Roger Carlyle. Yeah.
Oh dear.
Also, to answer the question in chat, we are currently in New York.
Oh yeah.
Come on, Johnny, you're probably best placed to answer it.
Yeah, I don't really
Yeah,
know
so-
what milestone to describe it by because I don't know what
I
milestones
don't
there
I
would be.
don't know, Max Writer, if you have played. Oh, okay, yeah. So yeah, we did play Peru. So yeah, they got to properly meet Jackson. Jackson has been murdered, and they have spent a couple of sessions now, sort of starting the investigation into what's going on and figuring out, what's happening.
It's probably confusing for Max Wright because we move through the story so blisteringly fast that I think we're already on episode whatever, but they probably think they must just be barely getting into it at this
The thing
point.
is,
Let me tell you, we
I'm
are
pretty sure.
so far along.
This is pretty standard for Cthulhu, I'm pretty sure. Like,
We could have been in
who would play
Shanghai
Cthulhu?
by now.
We could have been
Like
in
a
Shanghai.
figure.
We could have
And just be
Shanghaied
like,
this
nah.
whole stream.
I'm ignoring all of those stories. I'm just getting straight to the point. Like, that's not how you play Cthulhu.
Not sure why you think you go to Shanghai, Steve. Weird.
The photograph in the matchbook.
Yeah,
We could have just
there's
dropped everything.
photograph. Doesn't mean we're going there. What do you think? This is some sort of self-contained mystery. Oh my god! I have to share this.
Take your time, but be ready to die.
Yeah.
That's my motto for life.
It's
Isn't that how you
not
sign
about
off your
Mark
emails, Johnny?
That's good.
I'd also like to. We referenced it in chat as it happened, but thank you to Hefty Yeti for the raid.
Yes, thank you.
And thank you to Max Writer for the follow.
Oh, thank you. Ace. Cool. Is that everything? Great. So, yes, we will return on the 17th or the 24th, depending on a couple of things. Hopefully the 17th, but we'll see. Plenty of time for Max Writer to catch up on the 15 previous episodes. Simbaroom is on this week on Wednesday, and then the 6th of March is the next Yellow King, with the one after that being the 3rd of April, I think. But if you join us on Discord, you'll get the up-to-date schedule for everything. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for playing, and we will see you all in a few weeks. Goodbye.